Hey, I'm Ewashkiw from Adventure Yoga. Thanks for joining me today for this 45-minute flexibility slow flow. This is suitable for all levels. Now, I don't want to say too much about it, but we're going to work on creating flexibility in our hip by focusing on strength of our hip flexors and length of our hamstrings and length in our butt. We're going to start seated, so you might want, look at that, a prop. You might want a folded up yoga blanket, but it doesn't have to be a yoga blanket. It can be a blanket, it can be a cushion, it can be a pillow. You might want something to sit on, but it's not like it's going to be forever. Just be for the first part of class. But that said, that's where we're going to start. So grab something to sit on if you want it. Find a comfortable cross-legged seated position, and I will meet you there in just a few seconds. We're going to start seated today, so grab a seat, and if you want to sit on a prop, like a folded up blanket or a block or something, you can grab that and sit on that as well. I'm going to do that. We're going to sit for not an extraordinary length of time, but a little bit of time. So today it is a slow flow, so expect us to, be in the poses for a little bit longer than maybe you're used to in a flow class. Sit up tall here. Take your right hand onto the ground beside you. Stretch your left arm straight up. And then we'll go into a side bend. Bend your right elbow, side bend to the right. Really shorten your right side. Really work to make your right side shorter as your left side just naturally gets a little bit longer from that. Push through your feet for stability and then come up to center. Take your left hand to the ground, stretch your right arm straight up. Bend into your left elbow, side bend to the left. Shorten your left side. Really work that action. Your right side will get longer as you do that. Push your feet down and come up to center. Sit up tall. Take your right hand onto your lower back. And then take your left hand onto your right knee. Or, above your right knee-ish. Sit up tall. And then twist. Roll your shoulders back a little. Don't overdo the twist. Just do a gentle twist here. Stretch up through your spine. And instead of forcing the twist, just roll your shoulders back so you twist a little more. I find that I can personally put a lot of effort into my twists, and really my muscles don't get a chance to open up and create that space that we need. Come back to center. Take your right hand above your left knee, left hand onto your lower back. And then a gentle twist to the left. Lengthen up through your spine. Roll your shoulders back to open up. Open your chest. It'll take you into the twist a little more. And then come back to center. Take your hands and hold the back of your ribs. So this is a little different. We're going to do this in a couple of different poses today. Touch the back of your ribs. I've got my fingers facing down towards the ground just because that's what's comfortable. And then shift from the heels of your hands forward slightly and pause. So I want you to think about where the heels of your hands are touching on your ribs. Imagine that you're moving from there forward and then down towards your thighs a little bit. And then pause there. Stretch long through your spine. And now what I want you to think about is if your back is straight. If your upper back starts to round, your ribcage is going to push back into your hands. Instead, I want your ribcage moving forward and down. See if you can find that. You don't have to go forward very far. We're just working to activate the muscle that runs from sort of where the heels of your hands are down to your thighs, your psoas. Alright, then sit back up. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. So as not to offend anyone, I'm going to turn to the side a little bit. Don't want to have my soles of my feet facing straight at the camera. Probably don't want them facing straight at Shiva either, but that's what we've got right now. Hope that's not offending anybody either. Gotta be so careful, don't you? Push your hands down into the ground, Dandasana, sit up tall. So this is one that a prop is really nice for. Stretch up through your spine. And think about your hands at the back of your ribs and just shift forward and down a little, then lengthen through your torso. Dandasana, staff pose. So we are working on flexibility today. Stretch your legs straight, spread your toes. Lift up through your spine and move from the back of your ribs just down towards your thighs, just the tiniest amount, just to get your psoas engaged. To hold you here, stretch up through your spine. Dandasana. This takes so much flexibility at our hip. Often we think of flexibility as length, but it's a lot of strength too. We gotta find that balance so we can take ourselves into the fold, not just be able to open up into the fold. If that makes sense. Maybe? Let's move on. Let's do the next pose. Bend your knees. Grab your big toes. This is what I'm talking about. So this is a modification of Pashimo Tanasana, or seated forward fold, often done with legs straight, folding over your legs. It's a super intense forward fold. It takes a ton of flexibility. But often we think of that flexibility meaning long hamstrings. And sure, it means long hamstrings. It means length in our glutes and our butt muscles. But it also means strength, because the flexion of the hip is actually a muscular action. It's like an active action. So here, yes, we need the length for the flexibility, but we also need strength. So from the back of your ribs, move down towards your thighs, so that the back of your ribs, the back of your back, is moving towards your legs and compressing your upper body a little bit between your legs and your ribs. And then lengthen through your spine. Slide your heels away a little bit, but keep your upper body and your legs touching. So only slide your heels away, so as far as you can also keep your chest and your legs touching. And then think about the bottom of your butt and stick it back. This is one of the nice things of having a blanket under your butt, is you can actually feel that movement a little more and get a little more movement. Stick your butt back behind you. Move from the back of your ribs down towards your thighs. Lengthen through your spine. So we do need length in our hamstrings. We do need length in our glutes to do a deep forward fold. Slide your heels away a little more, but only go as far as you can keep your chest and your thighs touching. That's your goal here. Keep your chest and your thighs touching. Stick your butt back more. Pull on your feet to help. Push your feet into your hands to help. Stick your butt back more. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Compress your chest with your ribs. Like from your ribs, move down onto your legs. Lengthen through your spine. Pashimo Tanasana. If you can keep your chest and your thighs together and go to straight legs, you may. I can't do that with the blanket under my butt today. Keep your back compressing your chest into your thighs. Keep that strength action and stick your butt back to help get more length in your hamstrings and more length into your butt. Alright, lift your head and chest. Let go of your toes. Wow, I was putting a lot of pressure in. I can really feel that. Whew. My fingers are like, what's going on, Stephen? What? Welcome to my head. Right. If you're using the prop under your butt, take it away. Get out of the way for now. And this is the slow flow part of it, is slowly stand up. Stand with your feet about hip distance apart. Tadasana. Stretch your arms straight down at your sides. You can spread your fingers or bring your fingers together as you like. Look forward. Stretch your arms up. Keep your arms up. Bend your knees a little. take your hands onto the back of your ribs. Bend your knees a little. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back. Stretch your arms up again. Bend your knees a little more. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back. Lift through your upper body, Utkatasana. And then Uttanasana, fold forward. Bend your knees, everybody, and touch the ground. Whether you need to bend your knees or not to touch the ground, do. It'll feel good. Relax your upper body. Relax your head. Relax your ribs. Allow your upper body to just hang. Hang down. Push through your feet. Lift through your sit bones. So your sit bones are those little bony bits at the bottom of your hips that you might feel when you're sitting on the ground. You could take your hands here and feel them if you like. You can reach into your butt. It's actually hard to do in a forward fold though. It's better done seated. But lift through the very bottom of your butt. If you want to look at the screen, you can see where I'm touching, and that's where I'm lifting from. Keep touching the ground. But straighten your legs some more. Pause here. This is our slow flow. Go inside. Lift through your sit bones, the very bottom of your hips, of your butt. Straighten your legs a little more, but keep touching the ground. Steady your breath. And then step your right leg back. So slide your hands back a little, step your right leg back. Lunge, Banarasana. Stretch your left knee forward over your left ankle. Push through your right leg. Lift through your torso. And then we're going to lift your torso up and off your left leg. Bring your hands off the ground. Take your hands behind your back and interlace your hands. So interlace your fingers. Now if this is too intense for you, you can bring your right knee down to the ground. No problem. Bring your right knee down. Squeeze your shoulders towards each other and turn your upper arms out, and then fold forward and bow inside your left leg. Take your arms up and overhead. No handed lunge. Again, I've got my right knee on the ground for this variation. You can have your right knee off the ground for more intense variation. No handed lunge. And then bring your hands down to the ground. Everybody bring your right knee down to the ground. Untuck your right toes, shift your hips back a little, and forward a little, and back a little, and forward a little, and then lift your torso up. Take your left hand onto your left leg, bend your right knee, and with your right hand, catch your right foot. I know, all levels, well, we gotta do some of these things. Pull your heel towards your hip. All you've gotta do is your best. Then shift your hips forward a little. Pull your right heel in. And then from the back of your ribs, shift down towards your left thigh. Engage your right butt and stretch back through your right knee. Thigh stretch. And then shift your hips back a little. Bring your right foot to the ground, so let go of it. Touch down. Place your right foot flat on the ground. Lift your torso. Stretch your arms up. Like we did in the thigh stretch, but without your hand to foot, push your hips down and forward. Shift your left knee forward. Move from the back of your left rib cage down towards your left thigh. Engage your right butt and stretch back through your right knee. And then look up if that's available. Lift your chest up. Move your thumbs back. Anjanayasana. Bring your hands down to the ground, tuck your right toes under, straighten your right leg, and then step back to plank pose. Plank pose with legs straight or with knees on the ground, your choice. And then we're going to go to Chaturanga Dandasana, or half plank, it's sometimes called. Rarely in my class, bend your elbows. I'll let you go there. Bend your elbows, lower halfway. Chaturanga Dandasana. And then everybody bring your hips down. Untuck your toes. Ah, that was tough, right? Lift your chest. Cobra. Pull your shoulders down, pull your elbows down. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Good news is that hard part is over. Now we got to move on to the next hard part, which is a lot like the first hard part. Bend your knees and exhale, look forward and walk forward. Guess what? Life keeps going. Life keeps challenging us. Come up to your fingertips, lift your chest. Ardha Uttanasana. And then fold forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Push through your feet, stand up and reach up. Urdhva Hastasana. And then bring your arms to your sides. Tadasana. Now, I know you don't all know the Sanskrit pose names, but I hope that by using them, you'll start to understand them a little bit more. You'll start to figure out that arms up, overhead, hands shoulder distance apart, body straight. That's Urdhva Hastasana. It literally means hands up in the air pose. Honestly. Honestly. Okay, so Tadasana at the top of your mat. Just thought we could use a break. And just a little reminder that all we have to do is our best with pose names, with the poses. We just learn to do our best, and that helps us be more flexible, right? We don't always have to be perfect. It doesn't always have to be exactly what we were expecting. We can bend and twist and turn and still come out fairly centered, fairly on our path. Just maybe with a bit more experience than we were expecting to learn along the way. Tadasana. Have your feet apart for this Tadasana, even if you're used to doing it feet together. Stretch your arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana, upward hand pose. And then bend your knees a little and take your hands onto the back of your ribs. And then stick your butt back, move from the back of your ribs forward and down towards your thighs a little. You'll find you bend at your hips here. That's this hip flexion. It happens a lot with this muscle that I'm focusing on right now, the psoas. Move from the back of your ribs forward a little, but don't round your back. So if you feel your back rounding, back off a little. Stick your butt back. Stretch your arms back up. Utkatasana. It doesn't have to be deep and low yet. Stay where you are. We'll get deeper and lower. Move the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Stick your butt back. Sit a little deeper. Lift through your upper back. Lift through your arms. Move the back of your ribs forward and down towards your thighs. Stick your butt back. Get a little deeper. And then lift through your upper body more. Utkatasana. Smile, because it feels good to work hard, to learn about yourself. Fold forward. Uttanasana. Might be challenging, but life is going to be challenging. Fold forward, bend your knees, everybody. Uttanasana, forward fold with bent knees. Touch the ground. Relax your head, relax your upper body. And then think about your sit bones that you may have learned about today. Those old bony bits that you've almost certainly noticed at the bottom of your butt. You can feel them when you're sitting on a hard floor usually. Lift through there. Lift through the very bottom of your butt. This will help us get a little more length in our hamstrings. And then if we move from the back of our ribs, so move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, work to compress your upper torso some with your ribs and your thighs. Squeeze, stretch. That's going to stretch our glutes a little more by taking us into the forward fold more. Lift through your sit bones. Lengthen your hamstrings. Nice. Steady your breath. And step your left leg back for Banarasana Lunge. So slide your hands back a little. Step your left leg back. Banarasana. Did you know that's what lunge is called? Push through your feet. Straighten your left leg. And we're going into the no-handed lunge soon. So, if you wanted to bring your right knee down on the first side, you probably want to bring your left knee down to the ground here. I'm going to do that with you for solidarity. Everybody lift your torso, lift your hands off the ground. Take your hands back behind you and interlace your fingers. And then move the top of your arms back, squeeze your shoulders towards each other, and then shift forward, fold forward over your right leg. Fold inside your right leg, no-handed lunge. Stretch your arms up and overhead, squeeze your shoulders towards each other. So you can do this like I'm doing it with your left knee on the ground, or a more advanced version, more intense, left knee off the ground. More chance for hamstring length, more chance for hip flexion. And then everybody, hands to the ground, left knee down to the ground. Shift your hips back a little. Untuck your left toes. Shift your hips forward a little. Shift your hips back a little. Shift your hips forward a little. Take your right hand onto your thigh. Bring your left foot off the ground with your left hand. Catch your left foot. So lift up, grab your left foot. Go for that thigh stretch. Pull your left heel towards your outer left hip. And then to make the thigh really stretch, really sing, shift your hips forward. Cool. From the back of your ribs, move towards the top of your right thigh. And then shift your hips forward a little. Shift your hips back. Bring your left foot down to the ground. And then stretch your arms up. Just like we did, shift your hips down and forward, this time without holding your left foot. Move the back of your ribs towards the top of your right thigh, but then also lift up through your chest. Look up and take your upper back up and back a little. Just like the upper back, up and back a little. Come forward, bring your hands down to the ground, tuck your left toes under, step it back to plank pose. Palakasana, we call that. Plank pose, knees up or knees down. Bend your elbows, half plank, Chaturanga Dandasana, and then come all the way down. Untuck your toes, place your feet flat, lift your chest a little, Cobra, Bhujangasana. Push your feet down, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, exhale, look forward, and walk forward. Ardha Uttanasana, come up part way. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Stand up and reach up, Urdhva Hastasana and Tadasana. Bring your feet together. Start your arms up overhead. So when you have your hands shoulder distance apart, it's Urdhva Hastasana. When you bring them together, bring your hands together, it's Urdhva Namaskarasana. Namaskar is prayer. So I like fingers together here, so bring your fingers together, or don't. Squeeze the back of your head with your upper arms, stretch up, and side bend to the right. Shorten your right side, really shorten your right side, and come up to center. Nice, shorten your left side. Really shorten your left side, and come up to center. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your right leg back. Banarasana Lunge. I've got to walk my left foot forward a little to get the right length. You might need to do the same. Ankle under your knee. And then bring your right knee down onto the ground. Lift your torso, bring your hands in front of your heart. Stretch up through your spine and twist to the left. Touch your right arm onto your left leg. And if you want to take this further, bring your right knee off the ground. Twisted lunge. Move from your back of your right ribs towards your left thigh and twist. Come back to center. Bring your hands down to the ground. Touch down. I have no idea what we're doing next, so give me a second. And look forward. Step forward. Step your right leg forward. Bend your knees a little. Bring your hands onto your waist and keep your knees bent. Lift your torso. Straighten your legs. Stretch your arms down. Tadasana.
Stretch your arms up overhead. Urdhva Hastasana, and then bend your knees a little. Take your hands onto the back of your ribs and touch the back of your ribs. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back. So move from the back of your ribs forward and then down towards your thighs. Keep your heels of your hands touching your ribs, and if your upper back starts to round, go back a little, find the length. Hold it. Keep working to move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs. That's going to move your butt back a little more. And then stand up. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Interlace your hands behind your back. Roll your shoulders back, stretch your hands away from your butt, and fold forward. You can do this with knees bent or straight legs. Your choice. Lift through your butt though, not your choice. Everybody's going to lift through their butt. And fold. And then carefully release your hands, touch the ground, bend your knees if you need to, place your hands on your waist, and stand up. Bring your feet together. Tadasana. All right. So that was our slow flow all the way through. Let's see what happens when we know it a little. And we can feel it a little. Goes like this. Feet apart or feet together. We're going to do Utkatasana, fierce pose, chair pose. So choose. Bend your knees a little, stretch your arms up. So stage one is bend your knees a little. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back. That'll bend your knees a little more. That's stage two. Stage three is do that again. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back, sit a little deeper. Utkatasana. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Touch the ground, bend your knees if you need to. If your feet are together, you might need to. If your legs are apart, you might need to. Just do if you need to. Uttanasana. Fold forward. Lift through your sit bones. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Move from your sit bones. Lift up. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Compress your upper body. Step your right leg back for lunge. Again, we're going to no-handed lunge. So we're not changing it up. So choose right knee off the ground or on the ground. Clasp your hands, lift your torso, roll your shoulders back, bow inside your leg. Hands down, right knee down, lift your torso. Lift your right foot, grab your right foot, left hand to thigh. Thigh stretch. So it's the same sequence we did on the first side. A little bit faster. Next is Anjanayasana. Bring your right foot to the ground. Stretch your arms up. Push your hips down and forward. And lift your chest up. Move from the back of your left rib cage towards your left thigh. Engage your right butt and open up the front of your right hip. And then lift your chest up and back. Come forward. Bring your hands down, tuck your right toes, step back to plank and Chaturanga Dandasana. Cobra, hips down, chest up, down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift through your sit bones, bend your knees, look forward and walk forward. Come up onto your fingertips, bend your knees if you need to touch the ground. Straighten your arms, lift your chest, Ardha Uttanasana, with or without bent legs. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Push down through your feet, stand up and reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Bring your arms to your sides. Tadasana. Choose feet together or feet apart. First stage of Utkatasana. Bend your knees a little, stretch your arms up. Stage one. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back and pause. Stage 2. Lift through your upper chest and then move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, stick your butt back. Stage 3, Utkatasana. And then fold forward, Uttanasana. Bend your knees so that you can touch the ground comfortably. Lift through your sit bones. Move the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Lift through your sit bones. So get your psoas strong, hamstrings long. Butt long. Even though our butt's folded, it's long. All right, butt long. Stretch your left, step your left leg back. But why? Because I said it's Banarasana Lunge. Push through your feet. Lift your torso. No-handed lunge. So choose knee up or down. Interlace your hands and bow inside your right leg. No-handed lunge. Left knee down, hands down, thigh stretch. Grab your left foot, right hand to thigh. Move the back of your ribs towards your right thigh, and then stick your right sit bone back. Bring your left foot to the ground, stretch your arms up. Anjanayasana, shift your hips down and forward. Lift your upper back up and back. Shift forward, tuck your left toes, step it back to plank, knees up or down, and lower Chaturanga Dandasana, half plank. Come all the way down. 0 plank. And then cobra. Lift your chest, tuck your toes, push it up and back, downward facing dog. I mean, if it's full plank and half plank, lying on your belly's got to be no plank, right? Lift through your sit bones. Yeah, I guess the endorphins are going. I'm getting giddy. Bend your knees and exhale. Look forward and walk forward. Come up onto your fingertips. Bend your knees as you need so you can keep touching the ground. Straighten your arms. Ardha Uttanasana. Half forward fold. Fold forward. Uttanasana. Push through your feet. Stand up and reach up. Urdhva Hastasana. Bring your arms to your sides. Tadasana. Bring your feet together. Stretch your arms up overhead. Bring your hands together in prayer, Urdhva Namaste and side bend to the right. Pick your left foot up off the ground just a little. Side bend to the right a little more. Makes it a little more challenging. And come up to center. Bring your left foot down. Stretch it up, side bend to the left. Pull your right foot up off the ground. You don't have to. See what happens. Come back up to center. And fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your right leg back. Lift your torso. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Twist to the left. Twisted lunge. Again, you can bring your right knee down to the ground for this. Come back to center. Bring your hands down to the ground. Step your right leg forward. Utkatasana. So bend your knees, everybody. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs, and then lift your arms up. Lift your chest up. And fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your feet as wide as your mat. Forward fold with your feet wide. Even take your feet off your mat. Yeah, go wider. Why not? Go wider. Bend your knees, everybody. Relax your upper body. Isn't it nice when you bend your knees, you can actually just let go in your upper body and feel a bit of traction. Create a little more space. Move from the back of your ribs towards your thighs. Create a little more strength. Lift through your sit bones. Straighten your legs a little more. Create a little more length. Squeeze your legs in to help. Heel toe your feet in. Back to regular Uttanasana. Knees bent or legs straight. Place your hands on your waist and stand up. Everybody. Tadasana. Now, it's a lot of talking. I need some water. Maybe you do. We're going to go through this flow one more time. Held up 2 fingers just to be really confusing. One more time. And so take a break if you need it before it's time for that. All right. It's a little flow, a little cool down, and then we call it a day. All right. Tadasana. We're going to take out the 3 stages and just do Utkatasana. Bend your knees, lift your arms, move from the back of your ribs forward, stick your butt back. Utkatasana. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your right leg back, Banarasana Lunge. Bring your right knee down, right foot flat. Exhale here. Get heavy in your hips. Lift your torso, stretch your arms up. Anjanayasana. Come forward, bring your hands down, tuck your right toes. Step back to plank, knees up or down, bend your elbows and lower halfway. Come all the way down, place your feet flat, lift your chest. Cobra, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Just felt like we needed a little breath cue here. Inhale so we can come back together. Exhale. Bend your knees, look forward. Walk forward. I know what happened to the slow flow. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Well, we slowed it down so much. Inhale, stand up, reach up. We had to pick it up a little at the end. Exhale, Tadasana. All right, once more through. Other side, Utkatasana. Bend your knees, lift your arms. Move from the back of your ribs forward. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Step your left leg back, Banarasana. Bring your left knee down. Lift your torso, left foot flat, Anjanayasana. And then step forward or step back to plank and lower Chaturanga Dandasana, half plank. Cobra, down dog. You know what we're gonna do from down dog? We're gonna go into child's pose. Take a child's pose. Yeah, I know. How'd we get there? Sometimes it's like slow, a little fast, and then we're done. Which I quite like. And now we're done. We gotta cool down, but we're starting. Notice your breath and start to take control of it. Relax your toes, relax your fingers, relax your forehead. Then we're going to come up into a low lunge with your left leg forward, right leg back. So we're not quite done yet, we got to cool it down. Left leg forward, right leg back, low lunge. Cool? You're on board with this? Good. Oh, a little friend on my mat here. Is it a little fly? It's a little fly. You know, we got these plants in the house and they're really nice, but they do bring a few flies into the house as well. Am I distracted? Slightly. Lift your torso. Stretch your arms up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. So my right toes are tucked. You could also have your right toes untucked, right foot flat. That might be a little less intense on your right knee. Stretch up with your left hand to hold your right hand up higher. And then side bend to the left. Stretch your right side really long. Stretch back through your right leg. Now shift your hips forward. Side bend to the left more. Yeah, open up your right side. Come up to center and bring your hands down to the ground. Nice. Bring your right knee off the ground. You're going to step your right leg forward and stretch it in front of you. This is a little tough. I gotta watch out for the little fly on my mat so I don't step on it. Step your right leg forward and then sit down and stretch your right leg straight out in front of you. Bring your left foot back. This is awkward to do, a little fly walking around. It's here, it's real. Trust me, I'm not going to... Anyway, take your right hand back behind you. Take your left arm inside your left leg and touch there. We're gonna do an open twist. Roll your right shoulder back and look over your right shoulder. Move your left shoulder back. Lift up through your spine. Move the back of your rib cage, your right ribs, back towards your right hand, towards the left side of your mat. Come back to center. Stretch your left leg out in front of you. Take your right leg back. Take your left hand back behind you. Take your right arm inside your right leg. Roll your left shoulder back and twist open to the left. Push your right shoulder back. Lengthen through your spine. Think about the back of your left rib cage. Move that back towards your left hand and even towards the right side of your mat. Come back to center. Now we're going to go to the lunge. So take your left leg back. I know this is tough for the cool down. Lift your butt up a little. Slide your left foot back so your left foot's on the ground. And then step your left leg back. Bring your left knee down to the ground. Left toes tucked or left foot flat. Lift your torso. Stretch your arms up. We got to do this side bend on the other side. Hold your left wrist. Reach up. And side bend to the right. Shift your hips forward and open up your left side more. Pull with your right hand, side bend more, get your left side super long. Come back up to center and bring your hands down to the ground. Child's pose. Do what you like with your arms. Sit up, swing your legs around in front of you. Just a couple more poses. Lie down on your back. Bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Set up for bridge pose. So have your heels close to your butt, but not too close to your butt. About a hand length away from your butt. Have your feet roughly hip distance apart. I know it's tough to see when you can't see them. Bend your elbows up towards the ceiling, push your shoulders down. And then tuck your butt a little so your lower back comes down to the ground. And then once your lower back's on the ground, lift it off the ground. Lift your butt up. Underneath your lower back, take your hands and hold your hands. Hold one hand with the other hand. Tuck your right shoulder in, tuck your left shoulder in. Push down with your shoulders, lift through your chest. Lift it away from your shoulders. Tuck your butt. Lift your hips. Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana, bridge pose. Release your hands. Lower your butt. Keep your right leg bent. Straighten your left leg. On the ground, left leg. And then, just so that you can take your left hand and hold your right knee with it, bring your right knee in towards your chest so you can grab it with your left hand. And then take your right hand onto the ground beside you, and then twist your right knee over to the left. Look over your right shoulder to help keep your right side heavy. And then stretch your right knee over to the left a little more. Push your right knee up into your left hand a little. Push down with your left hand a little. Yeah, just a little refinement there. Parivrtta Sukta Padagustasana. Come back up to center. And then straighten your right leg. Bend your left leg. Same thing other side. So pick your left knee up until you can hold it with your right hand. Take your left hand onto the ground beside you. Look over your left shoulder and roll to the right. Bring your left knee across your body. I like to rest my left foot on my right leg. So if that's available to you, you can do that. Stretch your left shoulder and your left knee away from each other. Come back up to center. Bring your left foot to the ground. Bring your right foot to the ground. Then stretch both legs out straight. Bring your arms down at your sides. Just be straight here. Like Tadasana, like you're standing on your mat, but lying down on your mat. And then Shavasana. Separate your feet. Separate your arms from your body a little.
Turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Turn your legs out. Turn your knees out. Relax your eyes. Close your eyes. Relax your breath. And this is Shavasana. All you have to do here is rest. Have the strength to find some length in your body and rest there. If you have longer for your Shavasana, please just reach over and press pause. You can press play when you're ready to come out. Start to deepen your breath. Move your fingers and your toes. Stretch a little. Move a little. Just a little. Move your shoulders, move your legs a little. You could even take your arms and stretch long. And then bend your knees and turn onto your side. If your eyes are closed, keep them closed. If you can close them here, it just gives you another chance to stay with yourself. Press yourself up to seated. And come to a seated position. Bring your hands together in the prayer position in front of your heart. We call this Anjali Mudra. The mudras are hand gestures. Thanks for working to find the balance of these actions. When we talk about flexibility, we often forget the strength element that's needed. It's a balance, and yoga helps us find that balance and play with that balance and become comfortable with the two sides of the coin. Thanks for practicing today. Thanks for being here. Namaste. Thanks for practicing today. I hope that helped you feel a little bit about this psoas muscle, creating that strength that helps you find your flexibility at your hip. But I also hope that you were able to create a little bit more opening in your body and just really find a little bit of time for yourself. It's super valuable, so important as we try and keep going in this adventure we call life. Thanks for practicing today. If you would like to do another class with me in the future, you can just click there and add that class to your watch later list. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, you can just click my picture right there. Done, subscribed. Thanks, OMies. See you soon.